What's going on, fam? Welcome to the Adonime podcast, where we watch anime with the redemptive eyes of a Christian believer. My name is Manny.
And my name is Sebas. And welcome to another reaction episode, and this time of the anime, My Home Hero.
So, for this anime, we're going to share the synopsis real quick, and it goes like this. Tetsuo Tosu never expected his daughter, Reika, to be a victim of domestic violence. Suspecting that her Yakuza boyfriend, Nobuto Matori, is the perpetrator, Tetsuo decides to investigate him and his associates. But as he searches for evidence at Reika's apartment, the father learns that his daughter is not the first victim and that a worse fate awaits her. When he is discovered by Nobuto, Tetsuo ends up killing him in the ensuing fight. Assisted by his wife, Tetsuo hides the body in fear of retaliation from the Yakuza. To add to the misfortune of the Tosu family, Nobuto happens to be the son of the mafia's head. Considered to be prime suspects behind Nobuto's disappearance, Tetsuo and his wife will have to deploy all their ingenuity to protect their daughter from the Yakuza and their ruthless investigation. Sebas, can you share with us the rating for the anime real quick?
Absolutely, Manny. And the rating for this anime is rated R, which means 17 plus. Now, what will you say, Manny? Is this a good rating for this anime?
Well, considering the fact that we've only seen just the first episode, I would say yes. There is murder, there is a lot of scheming, a crime investigation, and it looks like it's headed towards a pretty R-rated show. So yeah, I would say so.
I agree with you. We also have to be careful with the language.
Yeah, the language too.
Yeah, blood, violence. You can see all this, and the thing with this anime is that it's so realistic that it is scary how realistic it is.
Yeah, for sure.
So on that point, I agree with you. R is the perfect rate for it.
Yeah, so far. So Sebas, tell us what your reaction is to the first episode of My Home Hero. Tell us your hopes and dreams for this anime. What do you think of it? First impressions? You think there's any lessons that we could learn from as Christians? Go ahead. You have the floor.
Well, when I saw this anime, I was like, wow. This looks like my country.
Your country? Oh, with the mafia and...
Yeah, like in Colombia with the guerrillas, narcos and stuff. I was like, wow, this feels so familiar in a certain way.
A little too close to home.
That's why it's called My Home Hero.
Wow.
It got too close to my home.
Oh my gosh.
But at a certain point, when I saw that, I kind of felt like, okay, this is a good anime that people that live in countries in which the violence is big, like mine, we can feel related to.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's not bad. We have to remember that we live on a fallen world. And part of that is, hey, we'll be living in countries or situations like this. So for that reason, we have to have something that keeps us grounded to the truth and to what God likes, what brings honor and glory to God. So we have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
But at this point, I really felt like, okay, I'm back home. I think that this anime at the beginning looked pretty cool because of the mystery. And so, I've always thought that my daughter is a good person. And I love her very much. So I'm gonna investigate this guy that she's been dating, and we'll see what happens.
Right.
The guy little by little starts uncovering some evidence about this guy Nobuto. And Tetsuo ended up discovering that he has been with other girls and he has abused those other girls.
Right.
and that those girls could end up dead. So
Mhm.
he's like, oh, this could happen to my daughter. I have to do something. I have to protect her.
Right.
At that point, I was like, wow, I have mixed feelings about this. Because up to a certain point as a father, you ask yourself, oh, well, I don't think Nobuto ask, I'm sorry, Tetsuo ask himself about this. But if I will be on that position, I will be asking myself, what did I do wrong?
You mean in regards to her decision to be with this guy?
Yeah, because why is it that she's relating to a guy that it's in the mafia, that the guy it's beating her, and she wants to still be there for him?
But I don't think she knows that he is in the mafia.
She, dude, I'm pretty sure she knows that he's in some sketchy business.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
I mean, he's a sketchy guy from the start, but
let's start by that. And let's not go too deep into his work, but also to the point that he's beating her and she's still there.
yeah,
For what we can see so far from Tetsuo and his wife, they're a pretty healthy marriage.
from what we can see. I mean,
From
the
what we
whole
can see so
fact that
far.
the wife is in on it, trying to go around this whole situation and like deceive the cops and all this stuff, and it's just like, holy crap.
But on the other hand, it also makes us see that they work as a team. They know how to be
Terrible reasons.
I mean, terrible reasons, but they are working like a team. So in a certain way, that it makes me wonder if they seem because once again, we don't
Yeah.
know the whole reality. Sometimes we say, "Oh, this anime is so cool" at the first episode, and then we discover that wow, this was terrible.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. So
So for what we can see so far, they seem like a healthy marriage up to a certain point.
yeah, to a certain point.
So when you look at your daughter that it's being beaten up by this guy, you ask yourself, if we showed her a good example, if we showed her a healthy marriage, how is it that she ended up on such a toxic relationship in which they're going to the point that they will even kill her?
I mean, we have to consider the fact that the daughter is even seeing a healthy relationship example before her all her life doesn't necessarily guarantee that she's going to follow in the same footsteps. I mean, she's going to have different influences growing up, friends and this and that, and maybe she has, I don't know, some type of different type of drama. I don't know because we don't know. We barely know how she was raised, but having that example set before you doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fall into that exact same
Absolutely, and
example.
there is no guarantee that because we have a healthy marriages and we are Christians, our child or our children are going to become believers. But at least we we give them an example and they can follow that example. There is a higher chance that your family become believers if they are raised in a Christian family rather than living in a terrible family and then coming to the faith. Now, I'm not saying that the Lord cannot do any of the two, but it's more common to see the other one.
Right, yeah. The probability of her having that example set before her to look for the same thing, it's more probable. So in this case, like yeah, I get it, but at the same time, it's like it's maybe it's also something that the writer didn't really consider of the writer of the manga.
Or maybe something that we haven't seen so far.
Yeah, so yeah, it's
So,
too early to tell.
yeah, we just have to keep. But if I were a parent and I see that situation, it's normal if that question ever rises up in your mind. What did I do wrong? Maybe you
Right,
didn't necessarily do something wrong, or maybe you did.
or maybe she's part of the mafia too.
Maybe.
She just went a whole different route. She didn't even follow the example of her parents. She followed the example of her uncle or something.
And then with more reason.
Just like Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
But then
Something
with
like that.
more reason, then you will be asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Maybe I wasn't tough enough with her, or I just didn't pay enough attention to her, or maybe I didn't raise her well.
Yeah.
And those are questions that could pop up. If you've been doing a good father, maybe you feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Now, the issue doesn't necessarily lie over there. But after he starts digging, he also discovers, okay, he got with someone from the mafia and now her life is in danger. As a parent, the felt mechanism that you're going to have is, I have to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that that is something good about Tetsuo.
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays we see we have such a low esteem, or we have such low expectations of the role of the father, that then you are like, wow.
Yeah, like the role of the father has diminished, at least with this culture, when in regards to influence to the kids when they're adults, or at least young adults, where it's just diminished and it's just about the teenagers and their friends. And like nowadays we see TV shows and movies where, at least for the younger audience, that the parents are just dopes. Like they're
not there. You see them on the episode 25.
Yeah, they're either not there or they're completely silly, like weirdos, or like it's just a bizarre scenario. And it's just it diminishes our, like, seeing that in TV shows and movies all the time makes us think, we can figure this out on our own. And we don't need like our parents in that sense, unless it's, oh, I need money and this and that. Like, no, their parents are supposed to be, at least in a Christian sense, and in a spiritual sense, I would say, parents are supposed to be our guides, our pastors, if you would say, our shepherds, our first pastors, if you would say. They're guiding us towards the right path. And that doesn't necessarily stop at age 18 or age 13 or whatever. But the role of the parent should be to continuing to guide them, to continue a flourishing relationship with their child, with their children, so that when they get older, they don't get to this prideful state of, oh, I don't need you anymore. I don't need you, dad. I don't need you, mom. No, like there's still things that we need to learn from them, because our parents may not have all the answers, but we can definitely learn from their experiences. And as they get older, they also continue to learn, and they have more wisdom to input into us. And that's just one of the ways that we honor our parents. So.
And we can also learn from them, and we can also avoid many of the many mistakes that they've made.
Yeah.
But also I will say that I like that according to Genesis, the role of the man was to protect and to provide for his family. And at least so far, that is something that we've seen Tetsuo doing. He's been providing for his family. He has a healthy family. He even when Reika was like, oh, I'm having money issues, he was like, okay, I'll help you. I'll provide for you. But then we come to the other side, and it's protecting. On the moment that he saw how this guy is treating her, of course he wants to protect her. And for that reason, he starts digging for evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he does not only start digging for evidence, but the moment comes where he hides on the closet. Because this guy,
he breaks into his daughter's apartment.
Exactly.
To start with. Which is, I mean,
he knew something was wrong. Now, to take justice on your own hands or to call the police.
Yeah, I don't know about the method.
Yeah, it wasn't the right method.
He could have definitely gone a different route with that, in my opinion. But you know,
But then, not only that, but after he breaks into the apartment, he starts digging information. He discovers the guy works with the mafia. Then he hears the guy coming, and he hides into the closet.
mm-hmm.
And as he's there, he hears how the guy is talking about his daughter,
Mm-hmm. Like a thing that he can
diminishing her and
just
treating her
throw
like
away
garbage and stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, if I'm hearing that about my daughter, of course, in Spanish we will say se me subiría toda la cabeza. I will feel like steam is going over my body to my head.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure anybody will have reacted violently. Now things get worse. Because as the guy walks, he hears Tetsuo. And then he approaches to the closet and he opens the door. And when he opens the door, ta-da-dan, the crime starts.
Oh my gosh. Cue the crime scene audio effects, which we don't have.
But Tetsuo comes out of the closet and then stabs the guy, causing the guy's death.
You sound like an audible narrator.
But then it makes you ask yourself, until what point was that a justified action? Until what point was it justified for Tetsuo to kill this guy? Was it justified for him to lie to his daughter? Was it justified for him to go stab this guy? Was it justified to deceive the authorities, to deceive everybody? Until what point are we going to keep up on this situation?
Right.
And this is a question that this is not the first anime that shows this kind of question, but we've seen it in history when the Nazis were killing the Jews. Was it justified that other German people will protect the Jews, will hide them? Because technically they are the authority and they had the right to do whatever they wanted with the people. Was it justified to protect the people of the life of the Jews? In this case, was it justified for Tetsuo to kill Nobuto to protect his family, his daughter?
That's a very interesting comparison you're making.
He knew it was going over there to that point, to the point where the girl was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that was certain, and he knew this guy was with the mafia. So this is where this is going. So is it justified for him to kill this guy?
Now you're asking me?
Well, what do you think?
I mean, I think bringing justice into your own hands is a very delicate situation.
Okay, but no, put it also on this perspective. What do you think Nobuto will have done once he discovers the father over there with the files that incriminate him? He probably will have killed Tetsuo.
Right.
If you put it on that perspective, that could also be considered self-defense.
Right.
So is it justified to protect his family and to protect himself?
So you think he was right in stabbing the guy? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's not what I'm saying.
So you're saying the opposite.
But I'm putting this on this perspective, so that you can tell me, hey,
I mean,
I think so.
It's not. This type of situation is extremely, extremely difficult to analyze in the sense of, like, this is a very, very complicated situation. Like, we're dealing with the mafia. We're dealing with people who are said to have influence even in the police, like even in the authority that you go to report the mafia, they themselves are influenced by the mafia. And it's like, where do you go? Like, where is your safety? How do you deal with a situation like this? This is a very like one in, I wouldn't say one in a million, but
Hey, remember, there are
ah,
cases like that all
there.
over the world.
But this is like cases of. I mean, I don't know.
It's a cases of cases. I'm not gonna say it's the most common, but it's a case of cases.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening out there and you're going through this situation, may the Lord be with you and guide you, because that is a crazy situation.
It is tough. It is tough, and wow. And this is one of the things that makes us wonder, wow, if I were in the shoes of Tetsuo, what would have I done? Is it correct? Is it okay for me to kill the guy and then run? What am I supposed to do? Now, this is what I believe. Maybe you might agree with me, maybe you might not, because there are different perspectives on all of this, and I'll try to explain as much as I can. But before I get into that, I also have to give a little disclaimer. This is not an advising. Every case is different. And every case has to be analyzed with a lot of detail. Because a single detail can change the whole description of what could happen.
This is the part of the episode where we should add, like how they do in the radios, in the radio ads. They're like, Adonime podcast is not responsible for any injury caused to you or any family member, and we are not legally liable.
But it's true on that point.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful with these cases because we live in a fallen world. And sometimes we would like that the situations are either black or white. But cases like Tetsuo are not black or white, are gray. And sometimes it's not the same type of gray. There is a darker gray, a clearer gray, so gray.
It's a very bloody gray that he's dealing with right now.
That's why sin is so complex and so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So every case has to be analyzed on a specific circumstance and seen through a specific eyes every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been one of the things that I battled the most when I started working on the ministry. Because those that know me know that I'm pretty squared. And usually I like things to be either white or black. But the Lord had to put me on gray so I could start learning that there are different types of gray aside from black and white.
Yeah, and those are, that comes with with experience with people and life. Because growing up when you're kids, you think 2 + 2 is 4, and that's it. And you think you have that mentality of this is correct and this is wrong, and that's it. There's no gray area. But then you delve into situations like this where it's like, is it wrong? Is it right? Like, it's not that simple. And then you start growing up and you see those things, and you start the frontal lobe of your brain starts functioning, and you start to analyze and have some critical thinking and think, wow, this isn't as simple as, it's not as simple as we like it to be. We would love it to be simple. We love to have yes and no and correct and wrong. And again, it's not like every topic is like this, but there are some topics that are gray areas, and that's, we have to be very careful with, especially when we're speaking to other people about gray areas, because it's very easy to fall into that disagreement and think, oh, you're not a believer because you don't believe in that this gray topic, you don't agree with me, so you must not be a believer. But it's a great topic. It's not like a salvation issue.
Yeah, and it's not something that you can just so easily consider. You have to have many things into consideration. For example, one of the topics that I usually encounter myself fighting the most is with ugh,
Guns?
immigration topics.
Oh, immigration.
Yeah.
I don't know why you were going to talk about guns.
I mean,
But
do you
that's
wanna
another
talk
gray
about
area.
gangs?
No, guns.
Oh, guns?
That's another gray area.
Okay, that's another gray area. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But for example, with immigration, I've known many believers come to me and tell me, oh, the people that is crossing the border, they shouldn't be here.
Ooh, you're getting into that.
I mean, it's one of the many topics that I've seen that are gray areas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they are requesting something that they shouldn't take. Oh, they are taking advantage of the system because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have to take many other things in consideration. Number one, it is important for a father to protect his family and to provide for them. But sometimes it is not as easy to provide for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And depending the circumstance in which you are, maybe sometimes it is even impossible to do it in your own country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people could still say, oh, but he could have tried on different ways. But have you seen how that family has actually tried? Do you know how hard they struggled or what they've been through?
Or even a man, just to put an example, even a man who's had a hard past, maybe even incarcerated or whatever, and he comes out and he's trying to live a new life, and the best thing he could do is, I don't know, work in Publix or these smaller jobs, quote unquote, but and then they get married to a woman that makes money, makes bank, and it's like they may feel like they're not a man or not a real man because they're not making enough money, or that the woman is making the bread money, and he just feels like he's like he's missing a limb, and
Okay.
you know that's a very delicate situation.
Yeah. And those are topics that we have to deal depending on the circumstances, and we have to have many things in consideration.
Yeah.
It's not something that we can say, oh, then the guy is wrong because he's the one supposed to be the provider. So he has to make his wife quit the job.
Yeah, that's unreasonable.
That doesn't work that way.
It does not.
So with these cases, we have to be really, really specific. Now, coming back to the topic, because we've drifted a little bit. Was it okay for Tetsuo to kill Noburo? Sebastian,
Ospina.
believe that there are many things that we have to have into consideration, and we should go to the Bible for this answer.
Adonime podcast is not responsible for any injuries caused to you or a family member. Amen.
Amen. So the first text that I think it will be good for us to analyze is Joshua chapter 2, verses 1 to 7. Over here in Joshua chapter 2, we have a good example of a situation that is not black or white. I'm going to put it on English. Spanish is my first language, so I usually have my Bible in Spanish. But it says like this: Rahab hides the spies.
What?
Rahab hides the spies. Spies, like spy fam.
Okay.
Okay? And Joshua, the son of Nun, sent 2 men secretly from Shittim as spies, saying, "Go, view the land, especially Jericho." And they went and came into the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab, and locked there. And it was told to the king of Jericho, "Behold, men of Israel have come here tonight to search out the land." Then the king of Jericho sent Rahab, saying, "Bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land." But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. And she said, "True, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from." And when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof and hid them with the stalks of flax that she had laid in order on the roof. So the men pursued after them on the way to the Jordan, as far as the fords, and the gate was shut as soon as the pursuers had gone out. Over here we have a one circumstance that is not black or white.
Mm-hmm.
This woman hid some spies from Israel just so that they were not killed.
Mm-hmm.
And as we keep reading, we can see that the people of Israel also told her, because of this that you have done, when we conquer the land, you will be safe.
Mm-hmm.
It even goes to the point that when the whole wall falls down, her house is the only one standing up. And we have to remember that the one that made the miracle was God.
Mm-hmm.
Does that tell us that she did something wrong and God even gave her a prize for doing something wrong?
Mm.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
So you think in a case like that, it's okay to deceive or to lie to protect?
okay, you're going too far ahead. I want to answer that question,
Sorry.
but I want to finish some Bible verses first.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now
Yeah.
let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. And it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look into his appearance or in the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as men sees. Man looks in the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." And this is something that it's really important for us to consider. Sometimes we are quick to judge the outside situation, but sometimes we do not see what the Lord is seeing. When it comes to these kind of situations, the Lord does not only look at the fact that happened, but he also looks at the heart behind it. In the case of the prostitute, we have to understand that there are circumstances in which some moral values can be considered under bigger circumstances. And the Bible gives us an example of this. It is on Matthew chapter 23, verse 23. And it says like this: "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. This you ought to have done without neglecting the others." In this text, Jesus is criticizing the Pharisees because they say, "Oh, we're giving money, so we're tithing, so we are good, we are fulfilling the law." And he tells them, no, because there is something bigger, and it's the heart that which you are doing. You are forgetting about the women that are in need. You are forgetting about the families in need, and you are still doing this. Your tithe is not good looking into the eyes of the Lord. But on the other hand, you guys are doing wrong, hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to always consider, what is the motivation behind me, or what was the motivation behind me when I committed that situation, when that happened. Now, I also want to read one last text, and it is in Matthew chapter 12, verses 1 to 8. And this is one example in which some values or some laws were considered as less into the sight of others. The Bible says like this. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields of the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry, and they began to pluck heads of grain and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath." He said to them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry and those who were with him? How he entered into the house of God and ate the bread of the presence, which it was not lawful for him to eat nor for those who were with him, but only for the priest? Or have you not read in the law how on the Sabbath the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are guiltless? I tell you, something greater than the temple is here. And if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you will not have condemned the guiltless, for the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath." Over here, we have a conflict between two laws. You are not allowed to do anything on the Sabbath day. And on the other hand, hey, we're hungry. We need to provide and we need food. And when this situation came to Jesus, he said, "Hey, let's eat." Because Jesus was considering something bigger, the wellness of his people, rather than this law in specific. And the same thing happens over here. Yes, there is people that lie. But what is the purpose of that lie? Oh, to protect other people. So we are putting the life of the people first in the case of the Jews and the Germans. They were lying to protect the life of the Jews because we know that everybody was made into the image of God. And they as Jews, they deserve the same treatment as any other German. There was no rightful thing to do to kill them. It wasn't rightful to kill them just because they were Jews. On the other hand, they have more right to live than any other person. And now let's move back to Tetsuo. And over here we have to look at the different angles. Was it necessarily to kill at the first sight when he saw the guy? Maybe not.
And it's not really a moment where you can really think about what you're gonna do because your blood is pumping, your emotions are raging, and it's a do or die situation.
Mm-hmm. And now, when the guy comes over here and he sees him, and we know that somebody is going to die at that moment. So when your life is at stake, what do you do? And in the case of Tetsuo, he defended himself.
Right. Fight for your life.
He fought for his life. I believe on that moment, if that was the motivation of Tetsuo, there was no sin behind it. But over here, we have different possibilities and different points of view. Why do I say this? And this is something that happened to me pretty early on the ministry. I mean, not this example, but somebody disagreed with me on this example. Let's suppose a guy comes to a school and he's ready to shoot everybody. One of the teachers over there has a gun. So he points out to the killer and kills him first. Did the teacher committed a sin because he killed the killer?
I would say no.
You will say no.
Yeah, because it's in self-defense, and that person had no right to be there with the armor, the weapons. Like, there's no.
There was no need. There was no right. There was
There's no
no justification.
Yeah, there's no justification for that. If you're there with that, you're considered a threat, 100%.
I agree with you, but then there comes another question. If you kill the killer, where will the killer go?
Yeah, you're talking about heaven or hell?
Yeah. Let's be honest. Most likely, where would he go?
Most likely he's going to hell.
Okay. There is some people that say, you know what? Instead of selling alive to hell, I rather let him die, kill me. Because either way, I know I'm going to heaven.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's not considering the people around you, the kids,
Mm-hmm.
the families affected.
Mm-hmm.
You're just thinking about yourself.
I agree with you.
And if it's not a sin to defend, and we have a responsibility to protect, which is part of our
Our mandate, our calling as men.
Yes, exactly. Or woman teacher.
Okay.
They have a gun or whatever, and they have to protect the kids.
And I 100% agree with you. But then once again, you are not only killing a person, but you're also sending his life to hell, his soul to hell.
No, that's God. God is the one who made that decision, not the person who killed him.
You are the one delivering it.
Hey, it's God's will.
For a lot of people, that's a big thing. Or for example,
I mean, what
do you know about the Dietrich Bonhoeffer?
No.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a Lutheran pastor.
Okay.
And he was part of a complot to kill Hitler.
Okay.
Did he do right or wrong for trying to kill Hitler?
Defending the entire world.
I will say defending an entire species,
Hitler didn't get
nationality,
killed.
race.
Hitler didn't get killed. He committed suicide.
Yeah, because the attempt failed. But yeah, and then Dietrich Bonhoeffer eventually died. But hey, did he do wrong? He was trying to protect a lot of people.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, some people will say yes, because he was the one delivering that, and we are not the ones supposed to take revenge, but the revenge belongs to the Lord.
But is that revenge?
It does seem, because you are the one that is taking the life of a person. Now, once again, it's not that I agree with the other position. My position is, I don't think a person in self-defense that does that has anything wrong with that. But on the other hand, I don't feel to the point that I can judge and I can say, no, the other person is wrong. Because that is a pretty personal decision. Some people don't feel comfortable with just the fact of killing somebody.
I mean,
not everybody has the guts for that. And praise the Lord, I just hope I never get to that point.
Yeah, and I guarantee you all of us, or most of us, would definitely agree with you in that point. But it's like, when the moment arrives and this is about to go down, I mean, imagine if you know, with me and my wife, if a robber got into our house, I'm supposed to be the protector and the provider and protect my wife. And imagine the robber comes into my house. I'm like, oh, just go ahead and kill us. We're going to heaven anyways. Dude. What?
I 100% agree with you. You have to protect your wife.
That's wild.
But at the end of the day, we also have to remember that not everybody reacts on the same way.
Yeah.
When I had a gun in my hands, I could shoot it. But when other people has the same gun, maybe they can't.
Maybe not, but I mean, you won't really know until that moment happens.
Until that moment happens.
Because we won't know.
And when that moment comes, whatever position you take, either I decide to kill the person or I let the person kill me, I'm not going to judge you.
I mean, there's always the whole, you know, for example, like I remember people would take, or friends of mine would take classes about self-defense, of defending your home. And they like if someone's coming into your property, you're shooting to kill. Like they're threatening, they come in a threatening manner, break into your house, you shoot to kill.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the classes teach or whatever. I know that there are some people that are not comfortable with that, so they just try to shoot and keep them alive as much as possible. In other words, like shoot their legs or something like that. But
No, I'll be honest with you. That's impossible. Number one,
it's
you know there is an artery that goes through one of your legs, and that artery, if it's perforated, you still die.
yeah, but you're
At the end of the day,
You hear what I'm
when you
saying?
have a gun, you shoot to kill, even if you point to the feet.
yeah.
We have to understand that this is a fallen world and this is a complex situation.
Yeah, this is a gray area.
A really great
A
area.
really gray area. I really don't. I mean, I can understand the other side, and I don't have a gun or anything, but I definitely it's like the whole self defense thing. Like I'm 100% for that. That's my opinion.
That's your
But
take.
I can see like the pacifist. That's what it's called, right? It's a pacifist.
Yeah.
The pacifist
that's fine.
mindset where I'm going to heaven and this and that, but I don't know. I still feel like we have a responsibility to take care of the people around us, and I don't think letting them die is the right way to. I don't know.
Once again, it all depends on the circumstances. Now, I'm going to give
If
you
it's for-
another example. Let's
Okay.
suppose the robber comes to my house. I'm alone. I'm an 80-year-old guy. I pretty much have lived my whole life. What would you rather do? Let the killer kill you and go to heaven? Or kill him and then send him to hell? You're by yourself. What would you rather do?
I'm not sending him to hell. He made that decision all on his own to do this funky
You're
thing that he's
delivering
trying
the
to
punishment.
do, and he's trying to end my life.
Now, once again, I get your point, and believe me, if I would be in the same position, I should. But there is other people that will say, no, I'd rather go to heaven than sending him to hell. And when the moment comes, I respect that decision. I cannot tell him that they are wrong. Because on the other hand, they actually do have a point up to a certain extent.
Both sides have points.
Both sides
Both
have
sides
points.
have good points. And I've heard like debates on this whole gun no gun situation, and both sides have good points, and which is why it makes it a gray area. Like we can talk about the moment where Peter takes out the knife to cut the guy's ear. He's had how long has this man had this knife in his pocket, and Jesus didn't know that knife was in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
He knew. He knew that Peter was armed. We don't know about the rest of them, but it's like, is it a bad thing to be armed? I don't know, man.
And then what happened? What did Jesus tell Peter? Put that down. Throw it. I don't want to see it. And he
Right.
healed the guy that
Right.
Peter hurt.
Right,
That's another argument that the people from the pacifist side take.
right.
But we also, from the, I don't want to say the aggressive side, but from the other side, we also have the Bible that tells us that we are here to protect the weak, that we are here to protect the others. And if we allow that people to stay over here, they will keep killing. So in that situation, whether you decide to shoot or not shoot, I
mean-
won't blame you. I don't judge you.
I mean, if the United States goes to war, if you were president of the United States, you'd be like, oh, just let them kill us all.
Dude, I agree with you. Absolutely not. But coming to the point of war, this is my take. If the war is not justified, if the war is like the Russia war, that we just want to mess with the people, I know people can feel hurt by this, but we just want to mess with people. I'm not fighting on that war. I'm not fighting on that war. Even if they call me, how do they call deserter? Oh, you will
Oh
be a
yeah.
deserter. I don't care. I'm not killing nobody for no fair reason. But if on the other hand, the other country attacks us, hey, 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 I'm defending my country and defending my family and protecting everybody.
Right. No, no, I'm sorry. I don't think anyone in their right mind would say, would just accept 9/11
Mm-hmm.
and be like, yeah, those people die. We're not going to do anything about it. I don't know.
But
But
that's why
yeah.
this is a really gray area and it's difficult to process and it's something that has to be seen from all their perspectives. At the end of the day, I don't judge Tetsuo for killing Nobuto.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought it to the table like that because yeah, I definitely hadn't seen it in that way. So I'm glad that you shared that.
Now, there is another thing, and it's the feeling that Tetsuo had at the moment of killing Nabuto. Because when you see him, you know that this guy is angry. He has anger boiling throughout his whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has reasons. He has reasons. This guy was bad mouthing his daughter. He was talking about how to kill her. He was. We know there is a circumstance over here,
Mm-hmm.
and he had the right to be angry. If we don't get angry when we see sin, then we're not believers. It's a normal thing that when you see sin, you get angry because you know that that is not correct. I will be surprised if there is somebody that calls himself a believer and he doesn't get angry when he sees the sin of other people.
Mm-hmm.
Tetsuo was angry at that moment, but the problem is okay, what is he doing with that anger? Is he going to live for revenge or is he really trying to protect his family? And many questions could come to the mind. This is something that I personally believe in Tetsuo's circumstance. If Tetsuo stays in Japan and he keeps deceiving and keeps killing and keeps building up an empire of mafia or killing the empire of mafia, I think that on that point, Tetsuo is doing wrong. But if in the desire of Tetsuo wanting to protect his family, he decides to flee to another country, and over there he establishes himself, he asks for asylum or he gets a visa or whatever, and he starts working and creating a new life to protect his family, I would agree with Tetsuo.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen from the second episode and on. But I think over here a problem will be with, hey, after this that just happened, what is going to be your motivation? What would you do and why would you do it? And that is something that we have to consider.
Yeah.
When I saw this anime, I was like, wow, this is pretty realistic. This is way back home.
Yes.
And it gave me good reasons to wanting to keep watching it. I personally have good expectations about it, but at the same time they're kind of low because of the way that the anime is. I think he's gonna stay in Japan and he's gonna continue killing and deceiving and doing bad stuff. I don't think that is the correct thing to do. That's why that's my take. I don't feel too comfortable. I mean, I did like how deep the story was and how they touched these topics, but I won't like, or I think I won't like how it will continue, because I don't think I will agree with the character at all. But that's
Okay.
just my take. What about you, Manny? What are your dreams and hopes for this anime?
All right, an hour into the episode, and we're finally getting into my impressions. But this is a lot. This is a lot more than I expected on this anime, and you definitely brought a lot to the table to talk about. So, um, but yeah, for me, I mean, I was a little excited for this one because of the whole mystery and crime theme. I really enjoy those themes. So I have some hopes for this one in that sense to figure out how they're gonna get out of this situation and what they're gonna do and what's gonna happen with the mafia and the girl and all this stuff. But honestly, I wouldn't say that I'm liking the main character too much,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely felt conflicted. Um, when he found out that his daughter is being physically abused by her boyfriend, and that moment where he actually sees him and notices that he works for the yakuza and everything. It was like, wow, this is a crazy situation. But honestly, I don't know what I would have done if I was Tetsuo. I mean, maybe have a serious conversation with my daughter.
Okay, with your daughter. I was gonna tell you.
No,
I
not with
know
the
for sure
guy.
you're gonna kill.
No, not with the guy. No, I don't know if I would have gotten to the point of breaking into her house, but I don't know. I don't think I would have done that. But or even try to move like that. That would have definitely been something I would have considered, like move, like and have my wife and my daughter move away.
But you have to take into consideration that, as I see it on the story, the girl Reika, she's already a grown up technically. She's living by herself, so maybe she could tell you, "Oh, daddy, if you want to move, move yourself, but I'm staying here."
Yeah, I don't know. Convince her in some type of way to move away. I don't know. But anyways, but I mean, I would say, we had already touched on this topic a little bit, but I would say, like, as a Christian parent, we should be teaching our children, with our example to them, what kind of spouses to look for. I think that we should teach them to be wise with those types of decisions, because those are life decisions, and you might end up dating some freako from the mafia, as we see from this anime and apparently in Colombia.
I agree with you 100%. For that reason, hey, be careful who you're hanging out with.
Yeah. And Tetsuo looks nice enough, but there seems to be some disconnection between him and the daughter. Like, like kind of like she wants to stay away from him for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And with the first episode, we don't really get to see too much of their background. Maybe it's shame. Maybe if she feels shame for whatever reason, maybe about her boyfriend or something that she's doing that we don't know about, which is why she's with the mafia guy. We don't know. And if it is, I think as a parent, we should try to teach our children from young ages to that they can come to us with anything, to tell us anything, to tell us their secrets or whatever, their deepest,
And
darkest,
even
their
not only to tell
weaknesses.
us about the situation, they have the right to come to us and tell us, I need help,
Right, right,
seeking for
right.
help.
Yeah, seek help to us. And this can be really challenging, and especially if we try to start that at a later age, to be more intentional with that at a later age. But you know with God, anything is possible. With I think that this situation with Tetsuo's daughter getting involved with the yakuza, it could have been avoided if she had a closer connection to her parents, because there does seem like there's some type of disconnection. They might have a great marriage or whatever, but
Or it seems like a
it
great marriage.
seems like it. But there's a disconnection, and you can see it. You can notice it. He's trying to get her attention, and she's just kind of like staying away, living her life, and they're
True,
not very. They don't look like they're really close.
but once again, there could be many reasons why that happened.
Yeah, it's up in the air.
Yeah,
All of it, all of it, it's up in the air. This is just pure speculation at this point. But um, but she would be able to detect the detect. She would be able to detect the abuse before it starts and run away as soon as she sees it. When she has an opinion from the outside, a witness to see like how the relationship is. I wonder if she even takes this guy with her friends, like We don't even see her with friends. I don't think. I don't think we've seen
No, we
her with
haven't
some
seen
friends.
her so far with friends or.
So it's like,
That's another
what's her
thing. How
social
is it
life look
possible that
like?
she's so alone, so single, so
What? Yeah, what's her social life like? Like, there's a lot of
and
questions.
supposedly she's a college student.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what's going on over there? And
Yeah.
one thing that I've been worrying all over the episode is where the heck did you met this guy and how the heck did you fall in love with him?
Probably at a party or something like that. I don't know. That's usually how it goes. I don't know.
But to the point of you falling head over heels about the guy, I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, yeah, it's weird, and I think that fact that she doesn't notice, or she does notice, but she doesn't react to the abuse as a red flag. She's taking it as a part of the relationship and something that she just has to get through. I think that's
A red flag for her.
I think there's something wrong going on psychologically. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's making you believe that this is okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that it shouldn't be up for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And we know as believers that abuse in relationship is wrong, 100%.
Absolutely.
Any kind of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, it's all completely wrong.
In
Completely
the moment that your life is at stake, the answer is run.
right.
Run.
Right. With abuse, it should never be tolerated, and it needs to be dealt with as soon as possible before it escalates, before the man thinks, oh, I can keep doing this, I can keep reacting this way, and then he ends up doing something fatal and
Mm-hmm.
costing you your very life and destroying your entire family.
I agree with you. And it's way worse when you are married. But in the case of Reika, while you are doing on the dating side, don't you think that the guy is going to change because you guys are just dating and he will change on the marriage?
Right.
How he treats you on the dating, he's going to treat you on the marriage. And in the marriage, I will say things become a little
No,
bit
the
worse.
dating, yeah, exactly. The dating phase, that's like supposed to be at its best
Uh huh.
because it's the first phase. Because it's like when you go to a new job and
You
like
want to show the best of yourself.
exactly.
You want to
Yes.
present yourself as the golden coin, as the
Exactly.
last Coca-Cola of the desert.
Exactly. And that's exactly the same thing with dating. It usually happens that way. You try to do your best, try to show your love towards them, and this and that. And in that, if you're going through the dating phase and you see abuse patterns,
Run.
huge red flag. Run. You need to leave because that should not be tolerated whatsoever. Whatsoever. And there shouldn't be room in your thinking for saying stuff like that, like what you said, like he's gonna change, I can change him, or he's gotten better. Those are no, you're in the dating phase and you're going through that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
And the
no.
marriage phase is going to be worse. Why? Because on the marriage phase, they feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And they'll keep showing their true colors more and more.
Yeah.
Once you notice, once you, your family, your friend, somebody, and even his friends or her friends, in our case as men,
Mm-hmm.
once they tell you something that is a red flag about the other person, you have to be careful about that as well.
Yeah.
Because, wow, then after you're married, you are locked over there and you have to deal with that marriage and then breaking up and then going through divorce. That's a horrible thing to go through,
Yeah.
especially when there is abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And in cases of marriage, I would say, the man or the woman, whoever's doing the abuse, they need to be held accountable and pay for their actions, whether it's jail time or whatever that may be, whatever discipline that it is. And, especially if it becomes a pattern, and you're a believer, I would seek help from the authority from your church. If they go to the same church and they're showing signs of abuse, that needs to be dealt with. You need to get
Mm-hmm.
counseling, and that person should be disciplined and harshly, because you're a believer, or quote unquote, and you have abuse patterns of abuse.
Even if that even means that he has to leave the house for a period of time until he proves that he can deal with his own sin, I will 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
You cannot keep living with a guy that it's pointing towards killing you.
yeah, because you won't feel safe in that home. Not for you, not for the kids. I mean, the whole family is at stake, and you can't take those types of risks.
I agree.
So in these types of situations, they're tough, and there are sadly lots of people that do go through these situations, even believers, and that's when we seek the authority. We go to the authority. We ask for counseling. We ask for separation or whatever it may be, so that they can get some help. And we need to be on our knees and pray to our God, and ask Him for His guidance, because these situations are really sensitive and really difficult. And but we have a God who sympathizes with our sufferings, and through the sufferings we can grow closer to Him. And in that sense, if we can take it in that sense, we can bring glory to God even through the craziness that happens in our lives. And on that note, I mean, the outcome of this situation in the anime has me really curious as to what's going to happen next. And we didn't get too much background stories for these characters. We did get a little bit, but now that Tetsuo has murdered this man and the wife is in on it, I'm not sure how they're going to deal with this. And I hope that there will be lessons that we can learn in the anime about getting help, about protecting your loved ones the right way, and making wise decisions in difficult situations, especially after you've made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not necessarily saying that him killing the guy is a mistake, but it's definitely an event that's gonna have consequences whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Surely there will be consequences further.
And I'm very curious to see how my home hero deals with the consequences that are supposed on for something this serious.
Exactly.
So I have some hopes for the anime. I mean, I'm not too crazy about it, but I really want to see what happens. I'm into the mystery. I'm into the crime. This is crazy. This is wild. There's a lot of stuff that we've already talked about, and it's only a reaction video.
Imagine when
For
we
only
have the
one
flag
episode.
review.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my take on it. It was my take.
All right.
So
So there you have it. We have I'm not going to say great, but we have a good amount of hopes and dreams for this anime.
yeah,
And hopefully we'll get to see more as the season goes on.
yeah. So thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of the Adonime podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Adonime Podcast. Until next time, grace and peace.
Joshua's chapter 2.
You couldn't put it in your notes, my guy?
No,
Copy paste.
es que no es tan fácil. Tengo 20,000 versículos, esa es la situación. Hay mucho que voy a hablar hoy.
Oh boy.
Yo te dije que este episodio me había tocado el corazón.
Ay, sí.